Hi, I'm James, and this is Sword and Keyboard. Today I'm going to talk about Slipstream by Noctet Studio. Slipstream is a pseudo 3D racing game built very much in the style of Outrun and other similar games from the late 80s. It was kickstarted back in 2016 based on an earlier prototype from a couple of years earlier, and then ultimately came to fruition with a release date in 2018. Now, the game itself is now pretty much end of life in terms of any content updates. The creator posted a while back stating that he's pretty much reached the end of what he's willing to put in the project. So this should be a nice look at the entire game and all it will ever be, which would be a nice change from my previous reviews of certain significantly higher budget games, which might have changed a little as a second reading. So Slipstream was funded with just under $7,000 on Kickstarter. That, on top of the couple of years of on and off development by its original creator, has led to quite a nice stylish game. It's clearly not a AAA title, but as far as indie games go, it's a nice, solid gameplay experience. Now, you won't be seeing any groundbreaking material on it, given even its stated outcome was building something very much Outrun-like. But what you do see is it's a beautiful looking game, very, very well in keeping with its original source materials. Even down to the individual cars and music tracks kind of fitting well with that 80s and 90s feel. I picked it up myself in the humble monthly bundle, so admittedly had made no intention of actually purchasing it until the game list came out. But I was looking at a couple of other games that have also been same sort of concept. So Slipstream very nicely quenched that thirst for a bit of the classic 80s arcade racing game. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the game itself. So as soon as you launch the game up, you'll see exactly what I mean about it holding true to that 80s arcade racer style and theme, even just from the opening scene there. And despite the occasional anachronism going through and looking at 1080p resolutions and the like, the whole thing does hold together really nicely. He's done a lovely job of making all the little bits of the UI feel just right, whilst still supporting modern gaming setups like Xbox One controllers and etc. The gameplay itself is also very solid. Now, I will admit that, much like any game of the era, I did struggle massively when playing it initially. It's basically just little bits about figuring out how the steering and drifting is actually supposed to work. But once you understand the game mechanics, it flows together really nicely. Controls are solid, not really much complexity there. And yeah, there's a nice feeling of progression as you make it through the various game modes. You've got the traditional, like, start to finish, tree-spanning world map to go through with some very familiarly named locations floating about. You've got the cannonball mode, which is more facing off against individual racers, and then you've got some of the more traditional racing modes like a Grand Prix with nice upgrade mechanics going on there, sort of like to progress a bit, adding a little bit more spice to the rather vanilla premise of just racing. But yeah, there's a multiplayer mode thrown in too for sort of local multi-controller play, as you'd expect of something from the late 80s, which, if we consider it an item of that era, then yeah, it fits. as you'll see graphically, it is a very pretty little game. There's nothing advanced going on here, no wondrous particle effects that you'll see. All you really get is some nice pseudo 3D road work going on, beautiful little sprites drawn up, and just a general feeling that everything fits together really. Nothing's graphically out of place, and nothing's overtly modern. The game does also come with some nice pixel shading modes, sort of CRT simulation, and some color bleed, sort of NTSC mode, which is kind of nice. Personally, it's not really my thing. I feel it detracts a little, but I can understand if that is the sort of thing you'd go for. It seems to do a pretty nice job of it. Sound as well, the audio is like pretty much perfect for what they're going for. I really can't fault it. The only real frustrations in the entire game for me were getting used to it. There's some little annoyances in terms of enemies getting in your way, but I think that's a good thing rather than a bad thing. You get the proper amount of challenge, but my patience can be pretty limited with that sort of thing, so I won't hold it against it too much. Yeah, overall, very nice little game. At about £7, latest price check, I'd say it's well worth it. It's not going to last you for too many hours worth of fun, but yeah, at that sort of price, I'd pick it up certainly. So thank you for watching. Just a short little one this time around. Hopefully I'll get some more concerted efforts to putting a couple more videos up in the future. Apologies, I've been a bit light on the ground on content lately. That's just been, you know, life getting in the way. How dare I have other things to do? But yeah, hope you like this one, and hope to see you watching again soon.